All right. We are live. Awesome. So, thank you so much, Deb, for coming out and doing this interview with me, this live stream interview. We're streaming this to Facebook, YouTube, and X. So, I'm seeing some comments. So, I guess people are able to see us now. That's great. So, this interview and this session is going to be all about you. And so, I know that you've got I know from just seeing how everybody reacts that the community loves you. It's been great that you were willing to join our community. And I'm just excited to see what you've done so far and what you are looking to do in the future. So, why don't we just start with you sharing a little bit about yourself, whatever you would like to, introduce yourself for, say, somebody who doesn't know you.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you for having me, Tom. I appreciate it. It's been a blessing to work with you as well as the SWP community. For those of you who don't know, my name's Deb. My full name's Deborah, but I don't like that name, so I go by Deb. I just turned 27. I have
Okay.
been in this space since 2021. And it has been quite the journey, lots of ups and downs, and lots of learning throughout the years and stuff. But it's been a blessing to kind of be able to find like my tribe in this space and like people who are positive, people who uplift each other and stuff like that. And then outside of crypto, I'm back in school. I'm in school for nursing. Other than that, my best friend is my dog. He's a staffy. He's like 3.5 now. I also have 2 cats, so I try to keep myself like as well-rounded as I can.
Okay. So it's just you, a dog, and 2 cats.
Yes.
Awesome. And you're a full-time student right now?
So currently it's part-time because
Mhm,
I am finishing my last like 2 prerequisites. So
mhm.
once I finish this semester, I'll be applying for the actual nursing program, which will be full-time. But right now I just have 2 classes.
Okay. So if you're 27, so there was a gap there. So you
Yes.
finished school and then you took a break? What did you do in between?
Yeah, so I when I graduated high school, I decided to go to community college, did that for a few years, and then I like wanted to do nursing back then, but I feel like I was not in the best place like mentally to be able to like, take on other people's issues as you need to be with like nursing. Like I feel like with careers where like you're giving back and you're showing up for other people, like you have to be in like a good place yourself. And like I was kind of like all over the place and stuff. So I was like I had finished all my prerequisites back then, and I was about to like kind of go to nursing, and then I was kind of doubting it, and then I had like a bunch of health issues, and then like COVID hit. So it was kind of like just like chaos at once. And then like, throughout those years I was kind of able to like redirect myself into realizing that that's what actually wanted to do, as well as having like more experience, like especially like being a patient and like knowing that I want to be able to like provide the care that I wanted to get when I was like in those situations.
Interesting. So you realize that it's a tough job, right? To be a nurse.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So that's just something you feel. I'm assuming that it's not all about the money then in that case, that that's something you want to do for the helping of people that that is necessary in healthcare.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
exciting.
I think for me, like I was full-time in the space at one point. Like I could, realistically still be full-time if I wanted to. But I've always felt like I have like a need and desire to want to like help people and like kind of like be a light that I feel like a lot of the world is lacking. And I feel like in a career where I'm able to like kind of like work with people and like be there when they are, at some of the lowest points in their life, I feel like that's like gonna fulfill me. Whereas like, some people can do things that, don't have to do with that. But I feel like that's kind of my like higher purpose as to, like why I've, dealt with like what I've dealt with in my life.
Yeah. I think of occasions when I've been in the hospital. I haven't been a patient per se, but I've been there visiting friends and family members. And in those really, really challenging moments, I literally, it so many times I felt like the nurse was an angel. It literally, I mean, it felt like, this is an angel, both because she's there to take care of something that needs to be done, and I have no idea what to do, and she's able to come in. It's just an amazing feeling to see that person come in into the room and to help. So
For
that's
sure.
wonderful. It's wonderful that you want to do that. So, thinking back, you said 2021, so you were, like, 23 years old when you got into crypto?
Yeah,
24?
sounds about right. I think I was maybe even like 22, maybe
Wow,
23.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got into crypto, and, I guess you're aware that it's still today, I think, a pretty male-dominated, industry, crypto.
Yeah.
So what got you into it? What made it exciting for you?
So I remember I was with like my ex-boyfriend at the time, and we had a friend reach out to us and was like, "Oh my God, like Safe Moon, you need to buy Safe Moon," because like someone posted a TikTok video about it. And we were just kind of like, okay, like whatever, we'll throw like some money into it. Like I didn't know what crypto was. Like I had no idea. I was just kind of in like a degen mindset, as in like, oh, like I want to make quick money. Like I did not understand like the mainstream adoption that was coming. I didn't understand like use cases or like why people would invest in crypto other than like to make money. So I just kind of like dove pretty head first. And I got into some cryptos on like Robinhood. I think my first crypto like that I had bought myself was Dogecoin. Had no idea about Dogecoin, didn't know Elon Musk was like involved. All I saw was like, oh, this has like 4 zeros. I can buy a lot of it, with my couple $100. I did that. And that was like pretty like well before they had the whole like SNL skit with Doge. And like of course, like I did not sell because I did not understand like buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. I saw my, maybe in total like $500 go up to like 30K. Which isn't a lot to some people. It was a lot for me. I didn't sell. I ended up selling eventually, making maybe like a couple $1,000s or something. But like when all of that kind of unfolded, it was kind of like, okay, like there must be something more to this crypto thing that like I am not aware of, because like I've never seen or experienced anything like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny because I think it was almost exactly the same time and almost exactly the same thing that I did. My first actual purchase, I believe, was on Robinhood, and it was
Mhm.
Dogecoin, and it was probably in May of 2021, like right at
Yeah,
almost the same time you're describing.
right.
I'm just a lot older than you, but I was just like thinking of the same thing, is that this is crazy. And I think like it's a little bit, there's two mindsets. You're describing the gambler mindset, and
Mhm.
then there's a true investor mindset. And I was definitely being a gambler in that. And I think that's the quick money. So at
Yeah.
what point did you start like actively supporting a project and doing videos and stuff like that?
For sure. So, like, kind of like right off the bat, I remember like people were posting pictures with like safe moon eyes and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, like cool. I'll have like the blue eyes, like edited like a picture of me, and then like suddenly like people were like, oh, like a girl in like these like degen plays, like cool. So like started like kind of building my following off that. I got involved with like a few kind of like lower cap projects at the time. Who, had use case, obviously like most of the projects from 2021 like are no longer here because they were unable to deliver. I think a lot of people at the time as well, like didn't know what they were getting themselves into as becoming like devs of a project, where like people were just making cryptos like left and right, and they didn't understand like the amount of effort that they need to put in like all different areas of that. So I worked with a few projects that, were around for a while, kind of like found a good community of people who like would support me and stuff, which was awesome. I
So they
remember
actually paid you to shill them, or you just were an investor?
So first, my first couple months, it took me a while to like get like my first deal where like people were actually like gonna pay me and stuff. Cause like even when I made my YouTube channel, which I don't necessarily really use anymore, but I remember I had like I think 30 followers on Twitter. And this project was like, okay, cool, like, we can help you out like getting followers and stuff. And like I was slowly just like trying to learn the methods of social media, and I was like posting videos every day, and I was like tweeting and interacting with communities and stuff. So it wasn't like this thing where like my social media following like really like, oh, like I got like 50,000 followers like overnight. It was very like slow. Like I remember celebrating like 1,000. I'm like, oh my God, I have 1,000 followers, like 2,000. So I think like, and it's been a while, right? Like I just had like my Twitter anniversary, I guess, which was like 4 years. So it's definitely been something that like has taken like a lot of effort and like work. And like I'm very much so like the kind of person who I would rather have like very authentic like engagement and people who like relate to the stuff that I'm posting than like other people that I see who like will kind of like post whatever, shill whatever. Like I've learned to, be more careful with like the things I talk about, as well as like I really do at least try to like have the best like interests, and like try to like look out for like the people who support me on my journey.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know you've mentioned that in the past. There's some people that are pretty influential, have large, a lot of followers on X, and like it seems to me as just an onlooker that like 80% of everything they're shilling is a rug pull, and it takes
Mhm.
away credibility to me. It's
Right.
like it almost makes you feel like they're in on it, but even if
Mhm.
they're not, it's like, well, either you're not in on it, but you're obviously not a good caller for something that's going to be a little bit, it's almost like they got in early and then they promote something and then then it drops like a pancake. And I
Mhm.
think that it's concerning, as far as credibility. And I understand you don't want to be known as somebody who's like that.
Mhm. 100%. And I think like the things you put out are the things that like really like represent like who you are. And like I do know there are like different types of like content creator influencers. Like some people are like callers where like, sometimes I'll see people post like 5 or 6 different like random like crazy hashtags in a day.
Yeah.
And like there are also like builders who like, work with projects like long term, have partnerships, want to see them like grow and stuff. And like I have seen firsthand, especially like myself, like when I was going through like all of my health issues, that, I was not making money. It was during COVID. I was like putting money into things that I believed in. They would rug and stuff. So I do like understand the fact that a lot of people, most people work very hard for their money.
Yeah.
And, if they're investing in something, like if I'm bringing something to my followers, that's something that I see potential in. That's something that, I want to see succeed, and I see a long-term plan. Whereas, 99% of the projects that are out there are just like, okay, cool. We might be here for a week and then like the Twitter might be deleted, or like we're going to drop 99% in like a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, they're actually just about that first pump and getting a 2x, a 5x, or whatever they can get. And that's just the game they play. They're not, they don't understand, like, well, that's it. That's what it is. And I think it's just challenging for people who, an average person who is looking for something to believe in and is, ends up being the victim on that play most of the time. So when you first started making videos, did you realize that crypto is you're supposed to be anonymous, you're not supposed to use your real name, and you're not supposed to show your face, and you're supposed to be super secretive? Did you gather that that's the norm in crypto?
I think a little bit, cause like, even from the beginning, like, I would have kind of, like, either, like, creepy or, like, really, like, mean people, and I was like, "Okay, I'm never gonna, put out, like, my last name. I'm never gonna, like, tell people exactly where I live and stuff." And, like, especially, like, what I've seen in this space is, like, when people's money are involved, people can get really nasty very, very quickly, and, like, there were occasions where, like, people like edited pictures and videos of me, having me do things that like it wasn't actually me and stuff. So I saw like
That's why I
I saw
laughed.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's
that's
laughable.
horrible. Yeah.
It's like I've seen like the very ugly side of like crypto and like even like back I guess it was kind of like Saitama days. There were a lot of projects coming out on SataMask that, I could tell like firsthand. I was like, right when I would look at it, I would be like, okay, like, no, like this is a rug. And like I would go on my YouTube lives and just be like, hey, like this is like not good. Like stay away from this. Be wary if you're investing in this. And like, of course, that put a target on my back. So then like I would
Oh, yeah.
start to get, like death threats, like, oh my God, you're such a futter, blah, blah. And then like give it maybe a week, maybe a month, and then they would get rugged. And it kind of like I've kind of learned like if people ask me about something, like I'm not going to really publicly be like, hey, like this is a rug, but like, be
Yeah.
careful about it. I've kind of learned at least how to say things in a way that, more so kind of like protects me. Because people are very nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that since, people at least, you've shown your voice and your face, they have a general idea of who you are, and usually the people that are, doing the kind of things that you're talking about, just really, really brutal, they are anonymous, right? So
Mhm.
they feel this they're for them being on Twitter and on the internet in general, they feel they can do anything they want, say anything they want. There's almost no consequences. It's like if the person was in real life in front of you, they would be arrested or they would
Right.
be punched like this, but they feel that it's like they can behave in a different way. And it's one of those things you just have to be aware of it and know how to avoid people because you can't change it, I don't think. In
Right.
this is the internet, this is Twitter, this is but the negativity is very, very pervasive, and so I was a little nervous myself about doing videos. I started doing videos about a project that was I nobody else was doing videos about it, and I was
Mhm.
a large investor, and I felt like I just want to, and I believed in it. I wasn't doing it just to try to make my money back, but I truly believed in it. It just took time for me to get the fact that they're not supporting it. It's not going to go anywhere, and very disappointing. But now everybody knows my face and my name, so here it is. Here we are. Here we are. So, okay, so you got into crypto. So, what are your thoughts about blockchain? And now that you're into it, you got into it, looking like pretty probably most of us, trying thinking, hey, I can, make a bunch of money out of the cash that I have. But what are your thoughts about the technology of it and the future of this technology from where you sit now? Is it something that you're really interested in and gotten into since then?
Yeah, it's definitely something where like I now see like Bitcoin and like blue chip cryptos like stores of value, right? Like we see like inflation, we see like all of the crazy stuff that's happening, especially like I live in the US. I know you do too. So like in the US and stuff and it's just like like sure like I think gold is like a place where you're going to hold value and stuff, but like stock market as well like people like don't really understand who aren't invested in crypto. Like I was talking to my mom the other day and she was like, "Oh, like it's been a great year. I've made 5% returns on, my blah blah stock." I'm just like, "Oh my god, like, we will literally see that in like a 5-minute period." And that's something that is a blessing within crypto, but it can also go down. So I think like the thing that I see is like we see like such major corporations like partnering with these cryptos. We see like banks, wanting to utilize XRP. And we're really like at the fore end of that. Like I think people are slowly but surely hopping onto the crypto train and stuff. But I do think that this is where we're going to see like life-changing wealth because like you can look at pretty much any like top crypto besides like Luna Classic, which we saw what happened with that. But like the majority of them, if you look at the chart in the last 5 years, like everything is up drastically. So like what I have learned is like, yes, like I have like my smaller cap projects like SWP, which like I believe in with my whole heart. But I also have these like blue chips, these, top 10 cryptos that I know I'm going to be holding on for years
Mhm.
so that, I can see what I believe and what I know like crypto will be as time goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting, job security, I guess, and doing like, like what you're doing as a content creator with for crypto projects is that, we're 100% committed to the success of SWP, but regardless, the knowledge about blockchain, the understanding about this shifting of the wealth of the entire world, most likely, right? The changes in the entire banking financial system, to be in this industry and to be relatively public about it, it sets us up for having a very relevant place regardless, right? In the future, that we articulate this type of subject, people see it, and I feel like, especially with one of our goals as a community is creating content. That's not just people creating content about the token that does something else. That's the value proposition. Basically, as a community, we do this. And we can talk about whatever we want to talk about as a part of our way of getting attention to this project. And I think that it's just great. So who originally approached you to join the SWP community, or were you part of the original group from all the way back from a year ago?
So the original group, I remember because like I did take like a little bit of a social media break, but like I think like right before that, I think Faltron reached out to me and was like, "Hey, like we'd love to have you on a space or something, whatever." So I did a space. It was like, okay, like the vibes are there. I was involved with Saitama back in the day, so like I recognized most of the faces. Like they were very familiar people who like I would interact with and like do content with and like be with like on kind of like a daily basis kind of thing. And I was like, okay, like this is cool. Community came back together, whatever. I think I got some tokens, never sold them. I guess like they kind of like transferred to like a different version and like they ended up being like nothing, but I was like, okay, like whatever, it's fine. And then I remember my friend Bullish was involved with SWP and would kind of like tell me things here and there. And Bullish is someone I've been friends with in this space for at least a couple years now, so someone that I very much so trust. And then I remember I got a voice memo from Shri, and like I didn't know who Shri was. Like he followed me on Twitter and he like was like, hey, like there's something special about you, blah blah blah. My wife and I like love you, I'm gonna have her like come in contact with you. So then Shayna would start sending me messages, and then like fast forward, like I'm talking to them like every single day, and they were just like, what I really liked is like I've had people approach me about like other projects, and like I can tell that their intention of like, hey, how are you, like we want to get you involved with this. It's not like, oh, like I want to get to know you as a person. I can tell that there's like different motivation behind the conversation. But they were very much so like, hey, like we're involved with SWP. Like this is not in any way, shape, or form why we're talking to you, but we want you to be aware of it. If you have any questions, please ask, like blah blah. So I would kind of hear SWP and like, as I build my trust and friendship and like relationship with Shayna and Shri, I can see like, okay, like these are good, like authentic people. Like there must be something more to this. And like Shayna would always be like, hey, if you have any questions, like you can literally just come in and like sit in on a core team meeting and just listen. And like you can ask me any questions. And like, I've said this a lot in like spaces and stuff, but I've had and like been approached by so many projects where like you ask tough questions, you ask any kind of questions, and they kind of like steer clear of them. They kind of like twist and turn and like change the subject, or like you get attacked for asking questions. So I very much so have learned after like, being involved with people and projects who say one thing, do the other, like have all these false promises and stuff. Like I've learned to sit back and take my time and ask questions. So I sat in the meeting and I was like, hey, like they actually have like a vision here. They've done X, Y, and Z. And, one thing I also like really love is like I don't like when projects are coming out and being like, hey, next year we're going to be the currency of like Africa. And it's just like, okay, but like, where is like A, B, C, D? Like, you're going straight from A to Z. So like what I loved about SWP and I still love is it's not like over, promising these things that aren't going to be delivered. It's like, hey, like we have these goals, but like we're going to do X, Y, and Z in order to get them. And that's something that very much so like wanted, was like a factor in me wanting to get involved with like SWP.
Yeah. That's an amazing story. It's fun, because, it wasn't, and I appreciate all of the people in this that have brought you to the community, because it wasn't because of me reaching out to you. It was other persons who, and it's this serendipity of life. Sometimes you look back and it's like certain people have come into your world and left your world, and it's funny that even people who come into your world and leave your world, I still always try to keep a sense of gratitude. It's because it's like, I mean, it's like if I hadn't met my ex-wife and married her, I would have never met my wife of 30 years. I mean, just
Right.
as an example, it's like the people that maybe, came and went in, they still were part of the journey.
Mhm.
And so, but again, just a large amount of gratitude that you're here. And I know that in many ways this is just like the very beginning, it seems like, of what we are looking to do
Right.
and to do as a community, and with your involvement. And of course, we've got Adam, he's on the call, Bullish is on the call, Cliff is on the call, Shri is on the call. So we've got such a great, there's actually 51 people I see on the live. So that's just awesome. Hopefully hundreds and hundreds see it after we're finished. So let me ask this question. You said you took a break from social media. So tell me more about that. Why did you want to take a break?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of like I mean, like a lot of people know my story, but like I had like a bunch of like health issues and surgeries for like couple years and when I was kind of like also kind of like head first in the space and stuff. And it got to a point where like I was involved with like not even just projects, but like people who like I would talk to on a daily basis and people who like I would have trusted like with my entire life who ended up like being like the biggest scammers in the space and they ended up like either like disappearing or like you know being people that like they said they were one thing and they ended up being other things and like my trust was just like so like broken in the space where I was just like okay like and like also like I'm very I've worked a lot like to keep myself centered and not get like so absorbed by like other people's stuff because if I hear like a bunch of negativity here like that just kind of like brings down like my spirit and like me wanting and like trying so hard to like be a light in like a world that I think is pretty dark. Like I was just getting like so drained by all the drama and like even if like things don't involve me and I just see people that I follow like attacking themselves, like I would see people like doxing each other's children and stuff and like just the
Wow.
craziest stuff. Like, if you have a problem with someone, like that's one thing, but then like you're bringing their family, you're gonna dox their address and stuff is just like madness. So I got like very, very overwhelmed and kind of took a step back. And that's kind of when I was able to redirect my focus and, say like, hey, I want to go back to school for nursing. I want to do this. I knocked out my first prerequisite in like 6 weeks. And I was kind of like, oh, like I really miss like the people who have been supporting me all these years and like people who care about me as a person. They didn't care about me because like, oh, like it's like crypto dev. Like I used to talk to the Saitama devs and stuff. It's like, no, like people would ask me like more than people in my real life, like, oh, like how was your procedure? Or, like what's going on with this? Like, how is your grandfather like last year when he was in and out of the hospital? Like people very much so gave me like love that I had not experienced even in like everyday like real life. So I was able to come back and very much so like redirect myself as well as with my personal life with like people who are more positive, people who are supportive, people, like even like learning like the mute and block button on Twitter has been like very huge for me because I've realized like okay if there are things that are affecting me and like I don't want to see them like I just don't have to deal with them like that doesn't have to be my, experience from crypto and social media. So I've just very much so kind of like redirected, changed everything, and kind of decided to like push forward with that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't stay away. I mean, that we take a break is one thing. I'm glad you came back, and I agree. I mean, I can think of, periods of just massive amounts of stress and negativity, and I think it is about the people that you appreciate in the community is part of that's the reason that I don't give up. It's not because I need to pay my bills. That's not the reason. The reason is we've all gotten on this boat together and we're out in the ocean, and it's like I'm not going to be the one to ever turn around because we've done this. We're in this together. We're going somewhere and
Right.
we're going to make it. It's not a failure. I think I posted it earlier today on this is like when giving up is not an option, when quitting is not an option, you don't think about it.
Right.
Right? So if you allow that to be an option for yourself, then you're constant, "Oh, should I?" Like, that's something that doesn't exist. It's a non-existing thing, it's like burning the boats, right? It's just
Right.
there's no choice. And I think that, that is part of our goal for our community too, is to make sure that we literally get rid of people. If there's toxic people that are trying to be a part, and we haven't had that for a long time now, but if there's people trying to be a part of this community, we will kick them out and block them. Like, they're not welcome. We do not want anybody to ruin, because we work too hard for that. We're
Mhm.
working too hard to be positive, and we started something the other day. We're trying to just daily go out with a post where everybody can share their gratitudes. I know April was like she liked that when she worked with me in real estate, that we would always start. That was the first thing we did every day, was everybody shared what they're grateful for, and it could be anything from their dog
Yeah.
to coffee to something like much bigger and profound. But like, what a great way to start the day, talking about what we're grateful for. And it's like that's the kind of thing that I would love to make sure we integrate even more so into our spaces and to our X account, because that's something people just don't have. They hear
Mhm.
conspiracy theories, coming out your ears, like, and other craziness, and politics and finance and stuff. So
100%. And like, sorry, even like in like my everyday practice, like a lot of people know like I'm in like a recovery program. Like I'm sober, and like what I do when I work with other people is like every night we send each other like 3 or 4 things that we're grateful for. And like even on days where like I feel like my world is falling apart, like blah blah, blah, it's like, okay, like sure, like X, Y, and Z is happening. But like I'm grateful that I have this person who's here to support me. I'm grateful that, I can like lay down in fresh sheets and like cuddle my dog. Like just like these little things that I think, I think it's very hard when people are in such like a stressed and, a lot of the times like negative mindset for so many years, because that's how I was. And it's like literally like rewiring your brain, like making these little changes. And like sure, like if I send a gratitude list like once a day, for like 2 days, is my mindset going to change? No. But if you're doing it consistently and then you see other people being, practicing gratitude, it really does shift like your view. And when you shift your views, then you can kind of like show up better in like your professional life, in your like personal relations. So I think like mindset is something that a lot of people don't realize like has such an impact on like your entire life.
yeah, yeah, I listen a lot to, you know, personal development, and you might hear it and as I'm talking, and I kind of go off on tangents. But I was listening this morning to the a subject about victim mentality and learned helplessness. And he said some really really interesting things about that learned helplessness. And what I always keep bringing back to, like, part of the story of the SWP is that we just made the decision, even if like the everything that we invested back in 2021, if everything is zero, the decision that I'm still not a victim,
Mhm.
because I'm going to take what I learned, and that we literally can. All we have to do as a community is just decide that we're going to get together and have enough of us not sell. and
Mhm.
have some people come in. Literally, that's all we have to do. Mathematically, that's all we have to do, and it'll blow off the charts. The only reason it hasn't happened already, I know there's the macroeconomics, is because there's just always been a consistent number of people who have decided to sell at that time. But as soon as we get past that, and there's enough of that, literally, it's just a decision that we're making, and it's so interesting because it's a lot of psychology involved that
Mhm.
um, and then, of course, people will chase the green candle that day. So,
Yeah, I think that's kind of how things go, and it's like the people we have involved with our community now are like I really do are people I do think these are people who see the long-term vision, right? Like the people who are, talking about SWP, telling their family, telling their friends. It's like, no, like are these people who are like waiting like a week and then they're going to sell? Like no, like of course people are going to hopefully take healthy profits on the way up, but like they see the long-term vision of this project and the team, which I think is really going to show. And like it also shows now, like even like when we've had like very rough like market conditions, like we have been able to hold a solid floor, which I think is awesome, and it's due to the community.
yeah, yeah, I get people complaining about the lack of volume, and sometimes I'm like, "Well, I'm not upset about lack of volume because volume goes both directions, right?"
Yeah.
This like that just also means that we're just holding steady, you know?
Mhm.
So how long before you're officially a nurse?
Oh boy. So I'm planning on getting my bachelor's in nursing, but to like pass my like NCLEX, I should be starting actual nursing school this coming or I guess next February. So it would be 2 years from then that I can take my NCLEX and like become like an official RN. But after that, like bachelor's program, and I get very overwhelmed. I can't do too many things at once. So I think I'm going to, not be working at that time. I'm going to get my BSN and then I'll start working, because a lot of places as well, like they'll only hire like new nurses if you have your BSN. So like official nurse, like 2.5 years, like working nurse, probably 3.5 years.
Wow, okay. So you'll be a multimillionaire by then, so it'll just be your labor of love at that point, I'm sure. So,
Yeah,
are you
exactly.
are you planning on coming to Vegas on November 13th?
I am, as long as my school schedule allows me to, like, I would love to. I would love to finally be able to, like, see people face to face, because I didn't go to the Vegas event. I mean, it's a good thing I didn't end up going for Saitama, back in, I guess, 2021 or so. But I'm only, like, 5 hours from Vegas too, so if I can make it happen, I'm definitely going to.
Would you drive or fly over?
Probably drive, I guess I don't know. That's a good question, because a flight I think would be like an hour, which would probably
Yeah,
make things like more
yeah.
doable.
Yeah, so it's that's in my mind, and this was just like, hey, this would be originally we said it would be funny. We actually talked about it back in like June of last year when it was
Mhm.
still Faltron and the gang was just like, hey, let's do a Vegas event. And we were saying, let's do it last year. And the market just absolutely there was no way the market, there was at that point, like everybody was leaving, let
Yeah.
alone so it was, a lot of the original gang was, kind of just abandoning. But it was also clear that, typical cycles for crypto is 4-year cycles. So it actually
Mhm.
makes a lot more sense that it would be 2025
Right.
exactly to the day, 4 years from that, which it's not just that that was the peak for that product, it was sort of the peak for the whole crypto market for that cycle. It was
Mhm.
pretty much, if you look back, Bitcoin peaked right around that time. So
Right.
I'm just hoping that this is not just, a bunch of loyal people getting together. And yes, it's super cool to see people face to face, to meet people that I've only seen on Zoom but it's also, I think, is just gives us a very clear vision of a timeline. And I think the timeline is like I keep using the expression divine timing because
Yeah.
I think there's going to be certain pieces of both what we're creating, the exposure, and also this silver bullet, which I believe will happen, which is that ease of purchase that hopefully is fully functional a good bit before that. That's
Mhm.
going to be so radically different than 2021. So when you bought SafeMoon, you actually had to learn to send money from Coinbase to a wallet to go in and swap it on Uniswap. You had to learn how to do all of that, correct?
Yeah, it was awful. I remember watching a YouTube video, and I think it took me like 3 or 4 hours to actually learn how to do it, and then, as I started doing it more, and then I started going from like Pancake Swap to like Uniswap to like all of these things, like now it's just like that. But like I remember like trying to get people, like my normie friends, like involved, and I would just be like, "Oh yeah," and then I'm like, "Okay, how do I explain this to them?" And then like people would just give up. They're like, "Okay, absolutely not," which is why like I think it's so necessary to have that like ease, when someone, especially like new money coming into the space, like people aren't going to want to, write down all these seed phrases, like buy, Solana on Binance, send it over to their Soulflare wallet, then go to, Radiant. And it's just like, honestly, like a lot. So I think that we are in a good time where we're able to kind of like bypass those steps. But 2021 was definitely rough regarding that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that plus, getting like, I mean, my goal, a viral video, one viral video. That's
Mhm.
where the beauty of what we've seen. I was talking about it. I think it was last night on the space. This guy who did that video is just amazing. He got 28 million views. That guy who did a cover, and he's just a young guy with an acoustic guitar. He
Mhm.
looks just like my nephew, and he was singing that acoustic cover of a popular song. Had a really really great voice. 28 million views.
Mhm.
Just the interesting part of that is that that's just one story of so many hundreds and hundreds of stories where even the guy that we were doing some work with, Kenny Brooks, crazy story. I mean, he had like so many millions of views. I think it was 800 million views for
Mhm.
of that video where he was pitching, and he didn't know it was the lady. The lady started filming him, and he came and rang on the doorbell trying to sell soap, and she filmed him, and he's being hilarious. He had no idea that he knew she was filming him. He had no idea she was going to put it on YouTube and it was going to be
Mhm.
viral. He didn't find out for 7 years,
Mhm.
but the fact that she made a video of him changed his life. He's a millionaire today, and
Yeah.
he's doing all sorts of things. He's got 10 kids and all and a lot of stuff going on. He's well known. And I'm just thinking, let's figure out how to do something either really funny or really provocative or really, interesting conjunction with crypto or something that people are like, that's funny, let me share that.
Right.
And you don't have to start, it doesn't have to be that big on the one. I mean, like our last cartoon like 1 week ago, it's almost 500,000 views.
Wow.
And we've got the next one coming out tomorrow. And I think you
Awesome.
guys everyone's gonna be blown away. I'm saying that. I'll stand by it. It's like you're gonna be blown away. And then that opens up the door to a lot of creativity of different content. So
For sure. And I think like too, like it just takes one, right? Like it takes one to see the name, and then it's just like this ripple effect. And like I think we're so blessed in today's age, blessed and cursed in some ways, but like just having the ability to post a video and have people all around the world seeing it is like absolute madness. So I'm very excited for like that avenue of SWP as well, like all these cartoons where we can incorporate like so many different things, like the possibilities are literally endless for that.
yeah. Yeah, and not to forget the fact that we're creating, we're doing even like this. We've got interviews, we've got
Mm.
real world video, and we're just increasing that database and the figuring out the best way to put it together, and also working with people too. I actually reached out to a rock band that plays in my local town. It's
Mhm.
a girl band, which is also I think is kind of cool. It's a little different. It's all girls and their band, and I was just talking with them about the project, and I was just thinking it would be so stinking cool if they just, it doesn't even have to be like all the time, but if they just changed their name to the Wolf Pack and
Mhm.
put the logo up and then played some of their songs and maybe did a couple of specific songs about the Wolf Boy or something like that. But just to be able to film that and maybe like then play some of the cartoons on a screen or something in front of real life people, just to create this. Well,
Mhm.
oh, this is a because
Yeah.
I remember in 2021, just a few references to some real world things. It didn't matter so much whether there was hundreds and hundreds of people there. It was the online, people viewing that. And the cool thing for that band is that we've got people all over the world: California, Florida, Philippines, Australia, England, South Africa, Brazil. I mean, like, just name it. We're literally covering the globe, every time zone. And, who knows, if it's a real band and they come up with um, because we do so much with AI, but I think that an AI song is not going to be the same as real
Right.
people singing a song or doing something cool. So,
For sure. I think people also just like things that are like tangible and things that they can like see and interact with in real life. And like a lot of people who like aren't necessarily in crypto, like they think like, oh, it's just like this online thing. But if we can bring it into the real world, like I feel like that's how we're going to onboard new money and people would be like, hey, like what is SWP? Like, let me learn more about it. How can I get involved?
yeah. Yeah, I think that it's about creativity, and I think
Mhm.
for us, and it's just I love the fact that we've got such an open community. I get messages all the time from community members, sometimes with feedback about things that they don't like, some suggestions and ideas, and the goal is that we're trying to figure this out as we go, get the eyeballs, and then encourage the eyeballs to join us. Essentially
Mhm.
that simple. It's a very simple equation at the end of the day. So what would you do if you ended up with your wallet being worth $10 million?
Oh boy. $10 million. One thing I would definitely like retire my mom, because my mom is, let's see, my mom is, I shouldn't be doxing her age, but she's like about to be 60 or something. And like she's like very tired all the time and she's a teacher. And she's like, oh, I need to work 2 more years. And like my mom has like supported me a lot, like obviously like emotionally, but also financially, while like I've kind of like figured my stuff out. So one thing, like, I would love to just, like, have my mom have the ability to, like, relax and kind of give back to her.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing would, like, honestly, like, I live in LA and I very much so, like, I wanna get my degree, whatever, but, like, I would just love to have, like, a house with maybe, like, a little farm somewhere that's, like, more isolated, more secluded, where I can, like, have, like, animals and stuff and just kind of get out of, like, the everyday, like, life that I kind of see here. Also like probably working with like, I don't know, having some kind of like non-kill shelter or something. Cause I always I always joke, it's funny that I want to be a nurse, but I'm just like, I love animals like way more than I love people. Like me, dogs, cats, like I just like adore them.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love the fact that um success opens up the opportunity to do good things, and the people
Mhm.
who really really want to do good things are the people that really deserve the money, right? The
Mhm.
people that only think selfishly, if they get it, who cares? Doesn't They're just going to be more
Right.
arrogant and selfish. It doesn't help the world in any way.
Mhm.
But people that actually want to do good things with it, and I love the fact that, and that's why I've always talked about trying to do charitable things as a community ourselves, but even as individuals, that we have
Mhm.
reasons, whether it be helping our children or helping our parents. And with the inflation and the economy the way it is, so many people, I literally, like, most people I know are struggling, like literally
Mhm.
struggling. I know it's because of, older people. They had a fixed income, and then we have massive inflation. Like, do the math. Like, that
Right.
means that their money doesn't go as far. And
Mhm.
it's just partly why I want to succeed, is to be able to help and do something and actually come up with ways and ideas. It gives you the power to do that. When you have no
Mhm.
money, you may have a big heart, but you don't really have the ability to solve problems in a lot of cases.
Right. Right.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see you make that a reality, and I'm sure you'll share with this community exactly what you just described you've accomplished and are able to
Absolutely.
do. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
So, anything that you and is there any question you don't want me to ask you?
I'm pretty fair game for anything. I'm pretty much like whether people like it or not, I tend to be like such an open book, which could be like, not great. But I mean, I think I like to at least be honest, whether people like it or not.
So, yeah, so no, I really appreciate the interview. Is there anything you would like to wrap up with? Anything you want to say? Because I want to, this is about you, and you're obviously you're going to be doing spaces and videos and stuff in the future. So anything
For
I've
sure.
forgotten, you'll always just add it to the next time you're
Yeah,
on the
for sure.
space.
I
But
think we're gonna be doing more ladies live streams. I think we're gonna try to set one up for next week as long as Shayna, April, and I can find like a good time, which I'm excited about because I think we need to kind of like empower like everyone involved with crypto. And I think it's nice, being a woman. I remember when I first got into this space and I would see like a like female YouTube like person. I was like, oh my God, like there's someone like me. So I think that's going to be awesome. Definitely more educational content, definitely more live streams. I think we discussed doing like some kind of like little like game show, which I think
yeah,
would be awesome. Like whether we do like trivia or something, just like things where like the community can interact with a lot. I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. But definitely just like thank you guys for supporting like not only myself but SWP. Like it doesn't go unnoticed despite like market conditions and sometimes like craziness that goes on. Like I do see like the love and passion that exists within the community. And like one thing that I am very drawn to is that the community is not greedy. Like sure, like I want to see everyone succeed. I want to see everyone reach their financial goals, which I really do believe we're going to be able to. But like people in the community really do care about each other as individuals. Like I've had numerous people who I talk to like on a daily basis. It's like, hey, like how are you doing? Like what's going on with school? Just like those little things, like I feel like create such a great foundation for us to have such a solid future because like we really do have a very solid community that's not just like, oh, 1000x we're gonna dip. So I say like keep doing what you guys are doing. I'm excited to see the cartoon tomorrow.
yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate you having me on the live stream.
Yeah, thank you so much for being interviewed. I appreciate it. It's nice to get to know you a little bit better, and absolutely, we'll definitely look forward to the ladies' space. I listened in on the last one. I thought it was great, and I agree. I think everybody, and you definitely have the hearts of the community. I agree with you too that we're all kind of in business together.
Mhm.
You don't just go into business with people that you don't like. We've chosen to partner together as wolves. And as we say, no wolf left behind. We're going to be sticking together as a pack and making it work. So very, very
Absolutely.
good.
And one last thing, I am going to be interviewing Tom soon.
Oh,
So we'll get
wow.
that on books. I'm going to also be interviewing like the team. So I'll be interviewing Shayna, April, maybe Adam and I will do something soon too. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm excited for that one.
Me too. Okay, great. I look forward to being interviewed. So awesome. Thank you so much, Deb. Thank you, everybody. I see that's 104 people that are on the live stream. So super awesome. That's great. I appreciate everybody coming out, and I'll talk to you all soon.
See you guys soon.
See you.